Hey, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel, to the Witchy Reader. So I'm going to be doing a Q&A because I just reached 200 subscribers recently, a couple weeks ago. I'm now 205, so yay. Um, and I thought it'd be fun to do a little Q&A. So I do have some questions. I asked um this a couple of my Discord groups. I asked Twitter for some Q&A questions. Um, uh for bookish or writing related because I read and write, as you guys probably know by now. And I'm very excited to do this Q&A and to just answer these questions. And so let's get started. Okay, what is your favorite genre and why? If you follow me at all on BookTube, you should know by now that it is fantasy because that's all I read. Like, all I read. Except for Aaron Hunter's books, which is, I consider the genre action adventure. Um, because everyone knows that one of my favorite series alongside Harry Potter is Seekers, which is one of Aaron Hunter's books. Um, and I absolutely love it. Um, But fantasy, yeah, that is what I mostly read. There are a few books I do want to try outside of fantasy, but for the most part, I read fantasy. I like fantasy. Very few fantasy books I've tried and did not like. So yeah, fantasy. What is your favorite book series? Well, I just kind of mentioned that. Harry Potter and Seekers because I love them both for two different reasons. Because they're like two completely different books, but they're just so amazing. The writing, the characters, the relationships. And one thing I love about both of these series is that I didn't realize that these two series have this in common until like right now. But they both focus more on friendship than romance. I mean, yeah, with the main characters start off like really young, so they're too young to have a romantic relationship. Um, but even once they get older and they do start, going and feeling these attractions and wanting a romantic relationship, it doesn't overshadow the friendships, which are the main point. In Harry Potter, the main friendships, obviously the Golden Trio, Harry, Ron, and Hermione. That's the main friendship. And even after Ron and Hermione started realizing they had feelings for each other, and Harry realized he was having feelings for Jenny and got with her, that it still didn't overshadow the friendship between these three characters because that was still the main important thing of the series. And that's something that I love. And Seekers, which I've mentioned, which is one of the many, many, many reasons why I love that series, is that they start off as cubs. So they're also too young to form a romantic connection with someone at first. But even after they do start getting a romantic relationship, it doesn't overshadow the friendship between these four characters, these characters, because that is the most important thing. This found family that they had found because they had like nobody, and they all found each other and they became a family. They became more than friends. They were a family. They loved each other like family. They even mentioned that they've grown to become a family, and so I which shows that I really love friendship more than romance. Don't get me wrong, I love a good ship as much as the next person, but I just feel like they can overplay it and sometimes I feel like the romance ends up overshadowing uh the story or something, um and I'm okay with romance. I just don't like it when if it overshadows the entire story and the story becomes about the romance because as I probably mentioned, I do not like pure romance. And there's so many more important things than just romance. I mean, to me, there's family relationships, which is very important. I always love reading about friendships, which I find, and found family is always really interesting. And that's one thing that my two favorite series, Harry Potter and Seekers, does. Even after they get old enough and have these romantic attractions and start having crushes and falling in love, it doesn't overshadow the friendships that they have formed all these years, that is still the main important thing about these series, and I absolutely love it. I just kind of went on a little rant there. Okay, next is what is your favorite fantasy creature? Like creature like dragon, or creature like vampire? Because those are kind of two different things, you know. Um, a creature of the dark, vampire or witch, if we're just talking about magical beings altogether, because I'm obsessed with witches. I always write witches, and I think most of the books I read are witch related. Because I love witches. Um, I do love vampires. I think I don't read them that often though. Not on purpose. I guess the vampire books I found aren't that great. I mean, look at Twilight. No offense for the Twilight stands. I hate Twilight. Um, but um, hmm. But TV wise, I watch vampires things. Like there's Buffy Vampire Slayer, and there's a few vampires on there I absolutely love. There's Vampire Diaries, which is really good. Not as good as Buffy, but still good. Those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head, but I know there's more. But book related, I know I read Twilight. Well, I started Twilight. I never actually did finish it. um, that's how much I did not like it. But and then there's Vampire Academy. I've heard of but never read it. My best friend likes that series. Um, so yeah, but I do like vampires. In one of my WIPs, one of the main characters is a vampire, and there's a few other vampires, some old friends of hers that they team up with when they need help. So yeah, I like vampires, but witches will be my favorite. I'm a huge fan of skeletons, but they are very, very, very underrated. But I have a whole series planned that are just about skeletons. I didn't even include witches in this one. At least the one with vampires, werewolves, and every other creature I saw have witches in that. But this one is just skeletons. 'Cause I love skeletons and it's very, very underrated. Um, I mean, look at Scary Godmother. Okay, look at Scary Godmother. My favorite character in Scary Godmother. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Scary Godmother, but it's an animated movie. There's two of them, and it's basically about the first movie is about this girl who her older cousin and his friends play this horrible, nasty Halloween trick on her, and then she's crying and she's alone and she's scared, and then a scary godmother comes who's a witch, and she takes her to her realm full of monsters and creatures to teach her not to be afraid because these creatures aren't actually that bad. Um, there's a werewolf who's kind of annoying. There's three vampires. I kind of ship her with the vampire kid, but that's another story. And then there's a skeleton, um, and someone with a lot of eyes. And my favorite character is Scully. Not just because he's a skeleton, he's just awesome, but still. The point is skeletons are criminally underrated, and I love skeletons. I have skeletons around here, like over there in my library or office or somewhere over there, and yeah, so I like skeletons. Um, but also I'm a huge fan of dragons as well. Not as much as my mom, who's obsessed with dragons, who has dragons everywhere, kind of like how I have bears everywhere, or Harry Potter everywhere. But yeah, see. Ooh, if you could have a dragon, what would you name it? Hmm. I don't know. I mean, in my Jasmine Perez series, Jasmine ends up getting a dragon pet for a little while, and I named her Mist. I don't know why, but if I have a dragon, I would like to name her Mist. Why? I do not know. Or better yet, let's name her Stormfly, because I'm obsessed with How to Train a Dragon, and Stormfly was always my favorite dragon. So I'll name her Stormfly. I have a few Stormflies in there, so I'll name her Stormfly. Maybe I could even get a deadly natter, and then it'll be the perfect Stormfly. Um, what is a piece of writing advice you want to give others? Hmm. Don't give up. I mean, there are times that it will seem hard, it will seem difficult, it will even seem impossible to finish writing, to finish editing, to get it published. Um, but just don't give up. I mean, yeah, writing can be hard. It's not as easy as some people make it out to be. But do not give up. Um, because if you give up, then you'll never get anywhere. If you give up, then the story you created, these worlds that you have imagined, no one else will be able to get to see them. And yeah, not everyone's gonna like your story. I mean, even the most popular series is not everybody likes. You know, look at Harry Potter. Not everybody likes Harry Potter. Um, there's I think other popular series. That's the only one that came to mind. The Grishaverse. That's kind of gotten popular the last few years because of the show. Um, and not everybody likes that. Um, Percy Jackson. I'm sure there's not everybody likes that. I haven't actually read it yet, but I plan on reading it next month, I think. So yeah, not everybody's gonna like your series, and that's okay. Don't let that stop you or make you doubt yourself because there are millions of people, and so the odds that your story that nobody will like your story is just not there. If there's going to be a few people that like your story, so you should keep going and never give up. I don't have a giving up gene in my body. Just ask my mom or my best friend or my dad or my sisters. They'll all be like, yeah, she doesn't know how to give up. Because that's true. If I want something bad enough, I'm going to get it one way or another. So that's a motto to live by. Don't give up. If you could have any animal companion as your own companion, what would it be? Bears. Just because I'm obsessed with bears. For those of you that do not know me, or new to this channel, I mentioned it a few times. That's actually originally what drew me into the Seeker series, but that is not the only reason why I love it, obviously. But I'm obsessed with bears. I want to be like what's her name? What's that one character's name in Barbie and which movie was it? Magic Faces. I can't believe I can't remember her name. That's one of my favorite Barbie movies. But she has Annika. Okay, Annika has a pet polar bear named Shiver, and I have like so many bears, like, and those are only my stuffed animals. I have like um bear figurines, breakable bears in my library and stuff. So I have bears galore because I have always been obsessed with bears since I was really little. Um, and one of my bears, I don't know if you saw it when I showed it, but is like by my TV and it has a scarf and it's a polar bear and I named her Shiver after that bear. So I want a polar bear so I can name her Shiver. Just like I want uh a dragon so I can name her a Stormfly. I have issues. Okay. What's something you know now about making YouTube videos that you wish you knew when you started? Um, I'm a bit better with editing. I'm still not that great with editing, but I'm better than I was when I started. I mean, I know how to like make vlogs and put all these clips together and that stuff. So, I'm happy about that. So, okay. Let's see. Okay. Where are your favorite places to read? Um, where are my favorite places to read? Um, I think I only read in my bed. Once in a while, if my mom and I both are reading together, I'll go upstairs to her house. We've read outside a few times, but I'm not much of an outside person. I stay in my cave. Um, but I'll read on the couch with her or on her bed with her. But most of the time I'll read on my bed, which I'm on right now. Um, yeah, that's pretty much where I read. Do you have a go-to drink for when you're reading, writing? Cherry Coke, because that's like all I really drink, except for once in a blue moon I'll have some chocolate milk. I drink Cherry Coke. all day, every day. That's what I drink. I mean, I just had a chocolate milkshake, which is a little bit different, but I went to McDonald's. So, um, do you have a writing routine, or do you just write when you feel like it? I write when I feel like it, but I feel like it almost all the time. So I sometimes have to force myself to stop writing so that I can get some reading done. That's how bad it's been. This year I'm working on getting more reading done, and so I don't just focus on my writing because I love writing, but I love reading too. Um, so I am trying to, you know, get more reading done, but I am always in the mood to write. Very rarely am I not in the mood to write. When I'm not feeling well, I'm obviously not in the mood to write. And then once in a blue moon, even if I'm feeling okay, I may not be in the mood to write. But like I said, that's very rare. I'm like almost always in the mood to write because I love writing. It's just I always have. Um, then my friend on Twitter, who I talk to a lot, uh, uh, gave me several questions. So yay. Um, let's see. What books do you like to read? Fantasy, as I mentioned, I love fantasy. I'm obsessed with fantasy because I have issues. um, but if you're talking about specific books, then I mean, there's Harry Potter, which I'm currently rereading, Secrets, which I just finished rereading. Because those are my two favorite series, so I like to reread those. I love the Effigies trilogy, Skinjacker trilogy. Um, I read some really good um, indie books, and I have a few more on my list I'm very excited for. Like, I have the Warriors of Bria by T.M. Cole on my list, which I'm very excited for. I have the first book, and she's plans on publishing 5, but she's only published 3 so far, and I'm waiting to get the second and third before I read the first. And I mean, she plans on publishing the fourth one this year, so by the time I get the second and third, she might already publish the fourth. We will see. But I also have the Fires of Treason on my list. Malediction on my list, and I have already read A Daughter's Ransom. I'm going to be reading book 3 soon because that came out, which is really good. It's by Nia Schmidt and Rebecca Schmidt. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. And then I'm reading and I like the what's it called? The Shadowrun Chronicles. That's good. Book 4 is not come out yet, but I'm all caught up on that one. Where is your favorite place to read? Like I just mentioned, on my bed. That's where I read. Do you have a reading routine or things you do to get yourself to read? Um, I try not to force myself to read if I'm not in the mood, but when I am in the mood, I turn on music, because I don't like the silence. I can't do anything in the silence. I can't sleep in silence. That's why I need TV to sleep. I can't read or write in silence. I need something in the background, just something, to help me. So, yeah, I'll put on some music. I will start, and I'll just lay down, get relaxed and comfortable. Possibly get a cherry coke. I don't mind drinking while I read, but I do not like to eat when I read. So I make sure I eat beforehand, or I'll take a break somewhere in the middle if I wasn't hungry, and then eat, and then I will continue reading. And yeah, um, what inspires you to write? Huh. Good question. Hard question, but good question. Um, huh. I have always loved to write. Like I there was not a time in my life where I did not write. I mean other than when I couldn't write, obviously. Reading and writing have just always been something that I loved since I was really little. It's just something that always brought me so much joy and happiness. And as I think I mentioned before, I, uh, my, I always, I have so much going on in my head that I can't always like separate it, and I always have so many. I have like a vivid imagination, okay, and I see all these things and play out in my mind, and they turn into these story ideas, and those story ideas turn into several book series, and I come up with several ideas as I go, because new ideas always come because my imagination, my writer brain, as I call it, does not turn off. It does not have an off switch. It is not possible. I am always thinking of new things for my books, and I have several books planned already. I mean, most of my book series only go up to 6, which is rather reasonable, but I do have a book series planned that has 8 books and a book series planned that has 14 books. Because I have just so many ideas for it, because my writer brain does not have an off switch. My writer brain cannot turn off. So, yeah. But I've always loved to write. It's always been a passion of mine. I honestly do not remember a time in my life where I just didn't like to write. In school, so in school I was never good at school. Not in any of my subjects except for English and reading. I grew up with ADD and I was slow in school. So I was had to be put into all these like classes with smaller groups of people and stuff because I needed a lot of help. Even though English class was the one class that I did good at, since I needed help with all my other classes, I was already put into a lower class, and that just made me do even better than everyone else because I was already good at English because it was the one class I liked. Um, because I love reading and writing, and I was even put into reading classes before, um, because I'm I was just slow, and even though I loved to read and I was good at it, I was very slow. But I always got close to my English teachers because I would always talk about loving to read and write. And I remember in high school when we would have to write I remember my English teacher would have a little prompt on the board, and we have to write like a paragraph or two for the prompt as this morning exercise every day. And I'm gonna come off as a total nerd, but I'm totally okay with that because I am a total nerd. But I could not stop after 2 paragraphs. Heck, most people would. There were several people that would only write 1 line, even though they were supposed to write more. And even if they did write more, they only write like 1 paragraph. They wouldn't even go to the 2 paragraphs because they didn't like it and they didn't care. But me, once I see the prompt, my writer brain just goes into overdrive, and I would just start writing, and I would come up with this. This is why I cannot do short stories or standalones, because once I have an idea, I get 50 million ideas to go with it. This is why I cannot write a short story or a standalone, because I have too many ideas for it. And I would end up writing a page or 2 until I will write however much I can until she says time's up. And usually I'm a fast writer, and like I said, my writer brain is going in overdrive at that time, so I end up writing a good page, maybe even page and a half before the timer goes off because I just have so many ideas. And yeah, I was the only kid that did that, and I did that all the time. And yeah, so that explains my high school experience. um How do you stick to a writing routine? Um, I don't really stick to a writing routine. Um, I just write whenever I feel like it, but like I said, I feel like it most of the time. Um, because I love it so much, I'm just so passionate about it that I'm always, even if I'm not writing, I'm thinking about writing, unless I'm reading. A lot of times, even if I'm not writing, my writer brain thinks about things to go in one of my books, even if it's not one of the books I'm currently working on or one of the books I've even started yet. My writer brain will still come up with ideas for it or little things for it, and yeah, it doesn't turn off. So I feel like a writing routine and actually being consistent with writing is very easy for me just because I'm so in love with it. I'm so passionate about it. It is what I love most in the world, in my life. So, let's see. I think there's one more. What are your favorite and least favorite parts of writing? Um, what's my favorite and least favorite parts of writing? Um, well, my least favorite part is research. um, yeah, research is obviously my least favorite part of writing. I know a lot of people say editing, but research. I don't actually do, but I don't do research that often because I only feel like I only do it when I really feel like I need it. But in one of my current WAPs, I need to do a lot of research for it. But this is one of the rare times where I don't mind, just because this what I have to research is has always been an interest of mine anyways, and I don't mind researching it more and getting to know more about it, which is Athens, Greece, because I've always been interested in mythology, and Athena has always been my favorite goddess. So I'm getting a little bit into Greek mythology, and Athens, Greece, in my WIP, The Realm of Monsters. So, so yeah. But my favorite part will have to be the writing. Um, I love writing, like I've mentioned, and um, so I just so that's definitely my favorite part because I just love writing it out and getting all these things that's in my head, all these thoughts, all these characters, all these scenes, all these everything out of my mind and onto my document. And if and it, and once it does get on my out of my mind and on my document, I just it feels more real because even if I haven't published it yet, it's out there on this document and it's not just in my mind anymore. And it's so satisfying and I just love it. But that was the last question. So thank you all. Thank you, Lucy, and thank you everyone else who commented some questions for me so I could do this Q&A. It's been a lot of fun to talk about reading and writing, two of my most passions in life. And um, thank you everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment, and we will talk soon.